Hi guys, welcome to Brand X Reviews. Now, further to my video that I did last week with a couple of friends of mine, co-reviewers, after we'd gone to see Avengers Age of Ultron. What did you think of Scarlett Johansson in this film, Steve?
Yeah, let's be honest, guys. Oh, fucking hell, she was fit. Oh.
She was, to be fair. I'm going to do a kind of a follow-up video to that. Just kind of a review, but more of a fan perspective and a few little things that I just want to throw out there as well, just to kind of give you some insight, perhaps, on where they're going to go with this film franchise. Now, there's plenty of elements to this film that you can pick up on. You can say how they're setting it up for Civil War. You can kind of talk about some of the character development that they've done in this. I think in this one I'm going to talk particularly about what they're going to do with Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, because that is a massive area of interest with this film franchise and where they're going with it, because that's going to be a major, and I mean that is going to be a major event film. I mean, Avengers Assemble was a major event because it was the first one that linked all these characters in together on the back of a few very successful films, and it just getting bigger and bigger, this film franchise. So I was like, how do they top that? Well, Avengers Age of Ultron was a great film. It was a very worthy sequel. There wasn't anything really in it that they didn't do in the last film that was a big event as such. It was just kind of a continuation of the awesomeness of that first film. Now, Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and 2, which are out in 2018-2019, are really going to bring together what they've been building up with this guy here, Thanos, and this Infinity Gauntlet, which is where he's got all these Infinity Stones, he puts them together, makes this all-powerful weapon, the Infinity Gauntlet. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm not going to talk too much about that here, because it's that itself is like a major area to talk about. But as I say, what they're going to do with Thanos is the major thing, really. I think that is going to be the peak of this film franchise as far as they go. God knows how they're going to top that. It'd be really interesting to see. Maybe do some kind of dimensional crossover with, like, the X-Men if they do a deal with 20th Century Fox. I don't know. I mean, I never even thought they would do that with Spider-Man and Sony, but they did. It's a bit less likely with the X-Men, to be fair. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, if you want to know more, if you want to kind of read more, if you're not massively into reading comics, you might not be aware of where they're going to go with this franchise. If you want to read some of this, I would recommend, regarding the whole Thanos stuff, I would recommend you read 3 graphic novels. This being the first one, Avengers vs. Thanos. This is a collection of stories, Thanos' major appearances from his first appearance in Iron Man number 55. It was also the first time that we got to see Drax the Destroyer as well, the character. But this was the first appearance of Thanos. This was the first time we ever saw him in that comic. And the rest, it just kind of spans from the 60s and 70s. All his appearances put together into one kind of thing. And it creates kind of its own self-contained story, I guess. But they killed him off in the 70s temporarily. He came back in the 90s, and that is what a lot of what they're going to be doing with the Infinity War is going to be based on. So that's the first graphic novel that I recommend. The second one is the Silver Surfer Rebirth of Thanos. This is when they resurrected him, having killed him off in the 70s. So this was in the early 90s when they did this. And this was a story about how he put together the Infinity Stones, which is pretty much what we're seeing at the moment with all the Marvel films leading up to Infinity War. You have these Infinity Stones, which they keep mentioning every now and again, not least in the new Avengers film, Age of Ultron. But so that came out. That's where he's putting the Infinity Gauntlet together. He collects all the stones successfully, puts the gauntlet together at the end, and that's the end of that story. The one that came after that was Infinity Gauntlet, which was a 6-part story, again in the early 90s, so it was off the back of that previous graphic novel. So this is the third one you want to get. This is a really good story, and this is the specific one that Infinity War Part 1 and 2, as I say, out in 2018, 2019, is going to be based on. And I read this for the first time about 2 years ago, bearing in mind that they were going to be making a film based on this, or 2 films as it turns out. And some of the some of the visuals from this, I thought, wow, that'd make a great movie. Because basically all of the not just the Avengers, but everybody, like the super villains, the gods, everybody comes together to fight Thanos. Because once he's got this Infinity Gauntlet, he is omnipotent to the extreme. I can't emphasise that too much enough. So I'd say the visuals in that I was really impressed by, just thinking, oh, this would make a great movie. And we kind of get a sneak peek at that in Avengers Age of Ultron. There's a scene in that, spoiler alert by the way, where Tony Stark sees a vision, a possible outcome of the future, where, what do we see? Well, let's just say, what do we see in that vision? He sees himself on this kind of plateau in space, and he's surrounded by dead Avengers. They're all dead, and Captain America's dying, and he says something to Tony Stark, Iron Man, something along the lines of, you could have stopped this. And Captain America's shield is in pieces, it's smashed. Now, we did see his shield smashed in the trailer, and when I saw that in the trailer, I thought, well, I was hoping that the smashing of Captain America's shield would be something that they would save for Thanos to do, because that was something that happens in the Infinity Gauntlet. You can see what happens. Captain America's shield, kind of hold it up, gets smashed kind of backhand style by Thanos, which was a major thing. So I was kind of hoping that we would see that happen in the Infinity Gauntlet, because everybody gets their asses kicked in this. I mean, he does a number of things. I mean, for example, here we have Wolverine. He turns Wolverine's adamantium skeleton to sponge, which kills him. He takes Cyclops' head and encases it in like a block of ice or glass or whatever it is, and you can kind of see there. He just messes everybody up, basically. And so yeah, I was thinking, well, that's something that they're going to do, like Thanos do, not Ultron's going to do it in Age of Ultron. Well, as it turns out, although we saw it in the trailer for this Ultron film, it's a vision of something that happens possibly later on down the line in a future movie. So all that, like I say, that vision where Tony Stark sees this giant plateau in space with dead Avengers everywhere, that is pretty much exactly as I pictured it from having read the Infinity Gauntlet series, because that is pretty much happens. You can kind of see here that's Thanos on this, as I describe it, plateau in space with steps and columns, all that kind of stuff. You kind of see a better thing of it here with all this. This is what it's like. So that what we saw in that film was presumably what is going to happen or come close to happening with the Dead Avengers in Infinity Gauntlet's Part 1 and 2 movies. Now, I have predicted this previously. I say predicted it. This is what happens in the Infinity Gauntlet comics. It's not like I'm just pulling it out of the air. But a lot of Avengers are going to get killed, and a lot of other people have said this too. We're going to see some dead Avengers in that film. Now, don't think that they won't do this, because that they won't kill off characters like Thor, Captain America, possibly Iron Man, the main ones, the breadwinners for Marvel Cinematic Universe. How would they do that? Well, they do it in the comics. They kill pretty much everybody. I mean, snap of the finger, Thanos killed half the universe, including all your major characters. But that didn't mess up the comics, because what they do is they kind of cheated, I guess, and undid everything, basically. What happens is Thanos becomes like really just full of himself, and they basically say to him, well, you don't need a physical form anymore, and then he kind of floats off into a cloud or whatever. They snatch the Infinity Gauntlet away from him and just say, right, you've lost your powers now, and they undo everything once they've got the Infinity Gauntlet. Classic tale of those who have power eventually lose it, basically. So that's kind of what they do in the comics. So I imagine they'll do something, not necessarily exactly that, but they'll do something very similar to that, where everybody gets killed and then Thanos just becomes full of it and loses his power, and they undo it. So everyone that died is back alive again. So again, like I said, don't think that they won't do that. They kind of did that in the X-Men Days of Future Past film, and people didn't mind it there, I guess. A lot of characters got killed, they undid things, and then they're back alive again. So that's pretty much what I thought about that sequence in the film with that, and I've kind of rambled on about that for a while now on this video, so I'll kind of shut up about that. So that's all Thanos thing. That's a major element. Now there's plenty of other things that they're setting up in Avengers Age of Ultron, such as the Civil War stuff. which is again another. There's a number of comics, graphic novels. The main one is the graphic novel Civil War itself, which I've spoken about in other videos. So we'll see how kind of that goes. I did do a video recently called "How Epic Will Civil War Be?" because it was a mailbag question that got sent in, and I kind of talked about how. Well, the question that came in was how will they do a Civil War film when in the Marvel Cinematic Universe there's only half a dozen or so Avengers? Well, the lineup has kind of expanded in Avengers: Age of Ultron. So you've now kind of got War Machine, Falcon, Vision, Scarlet Witch as Avengers, not just like guys they kind of go to, but they are officially Avengers now. And it's expanding as well. We're going to have Ant-Man. There's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well, which has a few characters like Quake and a few others that can be in that if they need to. I don't know if they'll bring TV characters into the movie. I know it's canon, but I don't know if they'll cross them over. But that'd be interesting to see anyway. So they're expanding this universe, so by the time Civil War comes out, they can add even more characters in too. So I'm thinking with Civil War, they have set that up. They haven't directly led into it, though. That was something I was expecting in this Avengers Age of Ultron film. I was expecting them to lead into Civil War specifically, where Iron Man at the end of this film is kind of pissed off with superheroes, look at all the damage we've done kind of thing. We need to be regulated by government. But that's not really how the film ends. So, I mean, they're going to have to either bring that in the Civil War film from the beginning, or maybe do it from Ant-Man somehow, set it up in Ant-Man. I don't know how they're going to do that, but we will see. So that's another aspect of this, how it's going to lead into Civil War. Now, other general thoughts about the film that I didn't mention in the review. Does it top the first one? I mean, I did kind of get into that. We all did when we did the review. Having sat and thought about it, and it's a good point that others have made, with these films, kind of the problem that they're having with them, not necessarily a problem, but it's just a thing, is that because these films are so awesome, they are 10 out of 10, they are so well received, every time they bring out a film now, they are held to such a high standard. Each film is going to have to be like the best one. It's going to have to be like, better than the others. If it's not better than the others, why not? It must be kind of got like bad stuff to it. It must be a letdown then. If Avengers Age of Ultron isn't as good as Avengers Assemble, it's let us down. It's like, well, no, it's an awesome film. I wouldn't say it's better than Avengers Assemble though. I would probably, it's on a par, it's a worthy sequel, but I think that first film just circumstantially was more exciting in a lot of ways because it was the first time you got to see all these characters on the screen together. It's like, how's it going to work, how they're going to do things. This one is just more of the same in a lot of ways. I mean, it's not more of the same overall because they do new stuff. It's a bit darker, it has more characters in it, it's a bit deeper as well, I guess. But a lot of the beats are the same in this film to what they were previously, so it's not really giving us anything new. And I think in years to come, I think Avengers Assemble will be, out of the two, Age of Ultron and Avengers Assemble, I think Avengers Assemble will be the most memorable one. Not that there's anything wrong with Age of Ultron, it is an awesome 10 out of 10 perhaps film, maybe 9.5 out of 10, I don't know. I want to say 10 out of 10 because I also went to see it recently. It's kind of fresh. Like I say, it's just one of those things where you want to kind of love it because these films have had such a high standard. You kind of feel like you don't want to focus on anything negative, and there wasn't really. I mean, I can't really criticise this film in any way. I mean, no film is perfect. I mean, some of my favourite films have the flaws. So that's kind of really rambling now about that. But yeah, if we're comparing Avengers Assemble with this film, I would say it's a worthy sequel. I would say it's as good as. I wouldn't say it's better though. But again, I've said that to people and they've like, oh, was it not better? Oh, that's a letdown. It's like, no, that first film is awesome. Don't expect to top that. But it's one of the things, I didn't want to go into this film with too high hopes because we've done that before. I've been let down. Not to name names. Phantom Menace. But I couldn't help it. I was just so excited to see this film. I just had such high expectations, and it met those expectations. It didn't exceed them. but that's good enough. That's good enough for me. What else can I say about this film then? Characters, new characters in this. Let's talk about them. We had Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. I'd kind of guessed that one of the main characters, was going to get killed off. Not one of the main, as in Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, or Hulk, but one of the main behind them characters would get killed off. I thought maybe War Machine, James Rhodes. I think he was top of my list of likely ones to get killed. Well, I was wrong. He didn't get killed. It was Quicksilver. I can't remember. I know I did say maybe Quicksilver's probably going to get killed too, but I don't know if I said that in one of my previous videos. But hey, you could sort of see it coming. I also thought possibly Hawkeye. They even kind of set that up in this film to make you think he's going to get killed, because they really kind of went into his character a bit more to kind of get you invested in him. And I thought they're just doing that so they will kill him off and you'll take more kind of out of it, having got to know him a bit more, with a bit more kind of impact. Well, they didn't do that. They went with Quicksilver getting killed off. Possibly, I don't know if it's a fact, I'm just kind of guessing, possibly that was in the terms of the agreement that they made with 20th Century Fox, when they were saying, right, you can do a Quicksilver in your 20th Century Fox Days of Future Past. We will do one with our Avengers, Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Maybe part of the deal was, going forward, Marvel Cinematic Universe can only use Quicksilver in one of their films. So that's possibly why they killed him off. But I thought that the Quicksilver from Days of Future Past was my preferred one, and I reckon that would probably be the what most people think. That's not why I'm saying it. I just think that's going to be probably the common thing, because not because the actor's better or anything like that. I just think that he was more well established and had a better role in Days of Future Past. I think in this one he was a throwaway character, which is ultimately what he was, because he killed him off. Scarlet Witch, on the other hand, seems to have a lot more potential going forward. I know in the comics they did a lot of stuff with her character and also Vision, so I don't know if they're going to do that in the films. Possibly. I mean, it's open to do that. They've kind of romantically involved the Incredible Hulk, well, Bruce Banner, and Black Widow in this, which I didn't see coming, to be honest. So, I mean, it's likely that they'll probably do that with Vision and Scarlet Witch. I love the description of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in this film, and they were trying to describe their powers. They were like, look, he's fast, she's just weird. That's it. That's all you kind of need to know. It's very true. They didn't really define her powers much. That was one thing I noticed in this. I mean, I know what her powers are just from having read a lot of the Avengers comics. She has Hex Vision and can make certain outcomes come to pass with these powers. But it seemed in this more like her powers were more kind of Jean Grey like from the X-Men than anything else, where she had like telekinesis and stuff like that. I mean, I knew what was going on when she was throwing like bolts and stuff. Like, there's a bit where there's a train kind of flying forward and she just kind of makes it stop. That's not just some random telekinesis. She's using hex powers to do it. I mean, I know she has like force fields and all that kind of stuff, but that's kind of something that felt a bit like it wasn't fully defined. Could just be me anyway. Now, as for Ultron as well, the character of Ultron, I didn't have a problem at all with anything. Some people said he was too funny, which took away some of the kind of menacing qualities from that character. I didn't see that. I think he was very different. He wasn't a Terminator. He was kind of charming. He had personality. He also had something that was pretty cool, which is when villains in films do what they're doing, not just because they're "wahaha, I'm evil" kind of thing, like, well, Thanos, for example, but they're doing it because they believe they are right, that they are altruistic, that what they're doing is justified. I think those are the kind of villains that make the most menacing ones, because they can have such integrity, I guess, and such conviction in what they're doing, that it is right and that it is just. It's more than just, I'm coming at you, I'm going to get you. It's, I'm right kind of thing, which can be scary, and it can be a great way of telling a story as well, and a great way of kind of having opposition. between the good guys and the bad guys, which I think we're going to see a lot of in the Civil War film as well. But that's another video. So yeah, that was something really good about Ultron that I liked. I think they handled his character really well. What else can I really talk about? There's so much going on in this film. It's a very long film as well, we'll say. If you haven't seen the film, I hope I haven't spoiled too much there. I did warn you. But it's a very long film. It's about 2.5 hours long. I mean, there are longer films than that, don't get me wrong. But if you're going to go into this seriously, don't have a lot to drink before you go in, because you'll be leaving to go to the toilet. Paul, I did warn you, by the way. I did say, why did I not have a drink when I met up with you in Manchester before we went? Why was I kind of staying away from that? That's why. Unlike Stephen, who also came with us, who fell asleep during this film, during the scene with Iron Man fighting the Hulk. Unbelievable. A friend of mine who went to see this with me, and he fell asleep during the bugger. Seriously. Hope you learned your lesson there, Stephen, anyway. But from a fan perspective, anyway, I don't just want to kind of review the film. I had a really good time. I went to see this. I went to see this in Manchester at the Odeon, which is an IMAX, and it was 3D. I've never seen a film in 3D IMAX. I saw Dark Knight Rises in IMAX, which was great, but I've never seen a film. Never seen a film in IMAX 3D, and it was a great experience. And I was glad that this was my this film was my first experience in that. Kind of like losing your virginity. If you're going to do it, lose it to somebody that's like really hot, because then it'll be a great memory. So I lost my IMAX 3D virginity to Avengers: Age of Ultron. So a great experience for me anyway. But yeah, definitely recommend it. So that format anyway for this film. So I think I'll leave it there. I don't want to ramble too much about it. There's so many aspects of this film to really talk about, and going forward as well, how it's going to tie in with Phase 3. We've got so many other characters. I haven't even mentioned Black Panther. I kind of did in my previous video, so I guess you could watch that. But all the future films that are coming out, like say Black Panther, Doctor Strange, who they've already said exists in this universe. They mentioned Doctor Strange in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So it's a large universe, large cinematic universe. They're bringing Spider-Man into this in the next film. Well, not the next film, but next year's film, Civil War. And then Spider-Man's going to have his own film, rebooted, nothing to do with Andrew Garfield movies or anything else that's come before. Now, I did hear a rumour, actually. Well, not a rumour, a report. In my opinion, you've got rumour, which can just be based on anything. Then you've got report, which is somebody of some credibility saying something, that they've read something, that they've seen a sneak peek or something, but it's unconfirmed. Then you've got confirmed, and that's when a studio or whatever, or an exec confirms something as being true. So you've got rumours, reports, confirmed. We have a report, so that's in the middle, of the next Spider-Man film being called Spider-Man: The New Avenger, which I think is a great title because he's been brought into this, and it kind of puts emphasis on this is tied in with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sort of a marketing point of view as well, it's a great idea, because just the title alone, this is the Avengers related franchise. So again, that's a report that came out of, if you just Google it, you'll see where it came out of. I can't remember what it was, but it was somebody who apparently is fairly credible at reporting stuff, so we'll see if that's true. But yeah, what else did I hear today? I'm sure there was something else. Oh, it was X-Men related, so forget that. That was some other news. I'm going to leave it there because I'm really starting to ramble now. So I hope that was kind of, the fan perspective there was kind of interesting to you, and maybe some other things for you to go off. As I say, recommendations, graphic novels. I would recommend this as a great graphic novel, Avengers: Age of Ultron, but it is not tied to the film in any way really, other than the title and some of the characters. The main character in this is pretty much Wolverine and Sue Storm from the Fantastic Four. Ultron isn't really in this too much. Ant-Man is a major character as well in this, I guess. So if you want some kind of, it's a great graphic novel, but just don't let the title fool you. It doesn't really in any way tie in with the film or the story of the film. The ones that I would recommend in this context, in terms of Avengers: Age of Ultron, the film, and where they're going to go with it, with the Thanos stuff. Avengers versus Thanos. That's kind of what it looks like on the shelves. That's the origin stuff from the 60s and 70s, and when they killed him in the 70s. The next one would be Silver Surfer, Rebirth of Thanos, when they resurrected him in the early 90s. And this is the one where he collects the Infinity Stones. And then the third graphic novel, which is an immediate follow-up to that last one, is Infinity Gauntlet. That's when he's got the stones, puts together the Infinity Gauntlet. And that's pretty much what the Infinity War films are going to be loosely based on, or directly based on, I guess. So right, I'm going to leave it there. I know I keep saying that, but I'm going to leave it there. So I'll probably do other future videos about Avengers and all the other films. If there's anything I've said, if there's anything you want to kind of pick me up on or ask me, I do a mailbag thing on the website and on the YouTube channel where you can ask me direct questions. So if there's anything I haven't covered here you want me to talk about, if I think I can answer your question, I will do it. So just post something on either Facebook, YouTube, or the website brandxreviews.com. There's some information coming up on how to subscribe and how to find us and all that kind of stuff. So feel free to do so, because I really enjoy doing this kind of thing. So I know I don't get a lot of viewers, but I don't care. I just enjoy talking to the camera and kind of rambling on like this. I do get enough people to watch it to make it worthwhile. So I'm happy doing it as long as you're happy watching. So keep the mailbag requests coming in the future, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Just so you know, for more news, reviews and retrospectives, you can like our page on Facebook, simply called Brand X Reviews. But as well as that, you can also subscribe to us on YouTube via this video. You can also bookmark our website, which is brandxreviews.com, which is pretty much a central hub for everything that I've just mentioned. So check that out, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.